everybody. Good morning. Everybody have a seat? Good morning. Good morning, Jared. Very excitable crowd here today. Very exciting. This is an exciting day for all of us. I know I've been through this a few times, and it is full of a little bit of anxiety, but it also, for the representatives that are going to be sworn in today, you feel the weight of the responsibility of what you're about to be taking on. But you guys have already felt that, but still. I want to thank facilities for getting all this together. It took us a long time to get the rotunda to look exactly like, we had to change it just a little bit. Not easy to do. And in this environment, I am so thankful that we are sending our best. We are so lucky in this county. There's not another county or place in this United States that has representatives as good as ours. And I'll put ours against anybody's anytime. We have a ton of elected officials here today. So I'm going to acknowledge these real quick so we can get going. Let's hold our applause till we get through them all, if that's okay, and then we'll give them one giant round of applause. I want to start off with my fellow commissioners. We have Commissioner Bogan, Commissioner Fisher, and Commissioner Rogers. If you guys would stand up. They get a round of applause. I know. That's okay. And our county administration's here as well. Thank you all for making sure that we could do that here. Okay, everybody else. Here we go. Okay, long list. Joaquin Almazan, Vice Mayor Belle Glade. Carol Shuham, from the Commissioner from Hollywood. Joe Scott, from the Supervisor of Elections. Rebecca Thompson. Yeah, he does help us all get elected, so it's good. We should probably give him a round of applause. Rebecca Thompson, from the Broward School Board. Maria Rodriguez, Commissioner, Pembroke Pines. Peter Hernandez, Commissioner, Hollywood. Jackie Raley, Vice Mayor, Coconut Creek. Sharon Thomas, Commissioner, Lauderdale Lakes. Ticey? Am I saying that right? Okay, thank you. Ticey Coswell, Vice Mayor, Lauderdale Lakes. Simeon Blier? Okay. Commissioner Parkland, sorry about that. I'm not sure who, I didn't write these down. Carlene Maxwell Williams, Commissioner, Lauderdale Lakes. Rich Walker, Mayor, Parkland. Alan Zeman, Broward School Board. Tony Avello, North Springs Improvement District. Mara Bowman, Broward School Board. Yvette Colburn, Commissioner, Miramar. Marty Keir, Broward Property Appraiser. I know, I know, yeah. He can't help himself. He can't help himself. He's the best. He's the best. We know he's the best. Sarah Leonardi, Vice Chair, Broward School Board. Jordan Islow, Vice Mayor, Parkland. Yeah. Some people can't help themselves. Jeff Holness, Broward School Board. Paul Rowley, Commissioner, Wilton Manors. Ray Martin, Vice Mayor, Lauderhill. Maur Elbaz Strinsky, Consul General of Israel. Thank you very much. And thank you for being here. Idelma Katana, Vice Mayor, City of Hollywood. You get an extra one right there. My Chief of Staff. Yvette Colburn, I know she's from Miramar, City of Miramar, even though I didn't say that here. Superintendent Howard Hepburn, thank you for being here today. And Dean Chantelis, Mayor of Fort Lauderdale, and Nancy Mateo Bowen, Vice Mayor of Coral Springs. Let's give all of them a wonderful hand. And to start this off and make sure we get off on the right note, I'm going to invite Rabbi Boxman. He's a spiritual teacher of the congregation at Kol Tikva in Parkland, Florida. Thank you.
My friends, today is January 27th. It is also International Holocaust Remembrance Day. a day that has been set aside by the international community to remember the slaughter of 6 million Jews, as well as countless millions in the Nazi Holocaust. 1/3 of every Jew on earth was slaughtered between 1938 and 1945. We also remember today the hostages still captive in Gaza. And while we are grateful for those that have been released, we pray for every single one to be released. And we pray for a lasting peace between Israel and her neighbors and the Palestinian people. May we hold those thoughts in mind as we take a moment to reflect in silence. Please rise. In the Jewish tradition, we say a prayer that says, "Thank you, God, for reaching this joyful day," when we celebrate our leaders who will be inaugurated again today. We say, "Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'achiyanu v'kiyamanu v'gianu lazman hazeh." We thank you, God, for giving us life and for sustaining us and for helping us to reach, mark, and celebrate this most wonderful day. And let us say, Amen. God of the old, God of the young, God of the lonely, the vigorous, and the frail, God of those who seek, of those who find, God of those who serve humankind, our God. We have forgotten, many of us, how to pray. Thanksgiving is awkward, strange to many. We're often oblivious to our blessings. We take much for granted as our due. Open our eyes, O Lord, to see how blessed we truly are. Our lot has fallen in green pastures beside still waters. The compassionate, wise, and caring men and women who dedicate themselves to the welfare of our community, including this day representatives in the Congress of the United States, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick, and Jared Moskowitz. These who we honor this day enrich our lives by their service to others. Their integrity and their caring bless us. They are indeed the beauty and the glory of our community. Master of the universe, our God in heaven, at this hour of convocation, we turn our thoughts to you and your plans for humanity. We remember that you have charged us with awesome responsibilities, for you have made us co-workers with you in completing the work of creation. To that end, we have been summoned to toil for the improvement of our world, a world free from prejudice and bigotry, a world where no one lacks their daily bread, and where free men and women live together in peace and harmony, a world wherein every human being is honored for the dignity and integrity that is uniquely their own. Dear God, bestow your blessing upon these dedicated men and women who have chosen to serve our country through public office. Grant strength of mind and health of body to these leaders of our nation. Protect them with your mercy and sustain them with your good counsel. Inspire them to govern faithfully and direct them to ever seek the welfare of all the inhabitants of our land. So may they realize that a nation is indeed exalted by the righteousness of its leaders and is blessed according to the merit of her rulers. So may we each in our own day and in our own way work to fulfill the word of God, to bring about the day when God's kingdom is established on earth and all at last shall live in peace. May these, your faithful servants, live by the words of the prophet Micah who taught, "It has been told you, O Lord, what is good and what the Holy One requires of you. Only this, to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." We offer these words of prayer in the name of the one by which each one of us calls upon our God, each according to his or her own faith tradition. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated.
Thank you, Rabbi, for not only reminding us of what day it is, but for those words of importance and thoughtful prayers. With that, I'm going to call on the Fort Lauderdale Police Color Guard to present the colors. And I would like to now call on Ashley Sue from the Cherfilus-McCormick Academy nominee to lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. And would Kelly Woodson please come up? Maria Woodson's daughter. She's going to sing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting and gave proof through the night that a flag was still there. Oh, who said does that star-spangled banner wave for the land of the free and the home of the
I know your mom's in Tallahassee this morning, but hopefully she could hear you from there. Okay, would everybody have a seat? We are now about to have the oath of office administered to Representative Wasserman Schultz. And to do that, we're going to ask first the Judge Beth Bloom, United States District Judge in the Southern District, to come up. Yes. I think that'd be a good idea. I think that'd be a great idea.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning to everyone. Let me say it's an honor to be here. Let me say to my dear friend Debbie, it is indeed an honor to swear you in again as a member of Congress. I say again because you have bestowed this great privilege on me during our 30 years that we have known each other. Your friendship is a true blessing. And our families and our children have developed their own beautiful special relationships based on the love and respect that we each share. After I was appointed to the federal bench, you honored me with administering my oath of office on the same tanakh that you will be placing your hand on. Let me say to each of us that we are all truly blessed to have a brilliant, strong, dedicated, and passionate Congresswoman that is representing Florida's 25th Congressional District. Debbie, you have been such a tremendous leader in this community, in our country, and throughout the world, not only as a longstanding member of the United States Congress, but your positive and lasting impact as a senator in the Florida State Legislature. You are a champion to so many, spearheading laws addressing national security, women's rights, children's safety, improving the lives of our veterans, strengthening our health care, energy resources, our economy, and education for all. Your leadership has resulted in the necessary funding for vital projects right here in this community. The Port Everglades Emissions Reduction Project, enhanced human trafficking intelligence, and a new federal courthouse here in Broward County. Debbie, you lead with grace and vision, and you lead by example. You are a devoted and caring mother to your 3 amazing children, who our family, as you know, adores. Jake, Rebecca, and Shelby are leaders in their own right and forging their own paths to change our world for the better, just like their mom and dad. Debbie, I'm not the only one to tell you that the days ahead will be full of challenges, and our country needs you. Over the past 30 years, like so many of your friends in this chamber, I have witnessed your strength in times of adversity. You are resilient and you are fierce. Eleanor Roosevelt once said that a woman is like a tea bag. You never know how strong it is until it's in hot water. And before her untimely passing, poet and activist Maya Angelou, another strong visionary and leader with a determined spirit just like you, Debbie said this: "I would like to be known as an intelligent woman, a courageous woman, a loving woman, and a woman who teaches by being." That is also you, Debbie. You are intelligent. Yes, that deserves. You are intelligent, courageous, thoughtful, laser-focused on what is right, and you teach and inspire all of us just by being you. I am just so proud to call you my friend, and if you will raise your right hand, repeat after me, and Steve, if you will hold the Tanakh. I, Debbie Wasserman Schultz,
I, Debbie Wasserman Schultz,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully
the
discharge
duties of the
the
office
duties of the office
on which I am about to enter.
on which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. So proud of you. As you always do.
Beautiful words by the judge. Thank you, Judge. Next, we are going to invite Bishop Henry Fernandez up. He has led the Faith Center for many years, and he is going to do the swearing in for Representative Cherfilus-McCormick.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning to each and every one of you. It is wonderful to see so many elected and appointed officials here today, along with members of the clergy, citizens, and friends of Broward County. And to Congresswoman Sheila McCormick. It is truly an honor to do this for you this morning, to see your husband, your daughter here as you're serving Broward County and the United States. It's a privilege to do this, and I'm honored to do that. I'm going to administer the oath at this time and ask that you raise your right hand and place your hand. And you repeat after me. You're going to insert your name. I, your name please,
I, Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of America, of the United States,
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any
mental reservation
mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties of the office
discharge the duties of the office
on which I'm about to enter.
in which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Bishop, and congratulations. Next, we are going to invite Leah Moskowitz to do the oath of office for Representative Moskowitz.
I'll be fast. I'm still surprised Jared asked me to do this and not Jared Rosenstein. Okay, doing well. On the very first date Jared took me on when I was only 17 years old, he told me that when he grows up, he wants to be a congressman. Fast forward to 2023, 21 years later, he was sworn in as the congressman of the 23rd District of Florida. We've been through this political journey together while Jared has represented Parkland, Tallahassee, Broward County, and he has certainly shown the country just what he's capable of in just these 2 past years. Sorry, James Comer. About a month before Michael passed, during one of our car rides, just the two of us, I told him that I wholeheartedly believed that Jared could accomplish anything that he set his mind to. And I assured Michael that I would be by his side every step of the way. I proved myself correct sooner than we thought, thank you, Ted Deutsch, in that Jared can truly do anything or be anyone he aspires to be. And I hope I proved myself in supporting him all the while. Jared, you make us proud each and every day, and I think everyone here would agree that now more than ever, we need your tenacity, your wit, brilliant yet level-headed thinking up in DC. We're so excited to see what you do in these next 2 years, so lace up some Jordans and let's get to work. All right, Jared Rosenstein, we actually do need you up here to help. I didn't know we'd need a third.
This is like the 10.
No pressure. All right, raise your right hand. I state your name,
I, Jared Moskowitz,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear truth and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear truth and allegiance to the same,
that I will take this obligation freely
that I will take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
the duties of the office in which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Jared. We miss you here on the county commission, but you are doing a fantastic job up there. With that, we're going to have some remarks from each one of the representatives. We'll start with Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
I love being Furr. I needed a hug. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for everyone who has made the effort to be here today. It's hard for me to explain the depth of the honor that has been bestowed on me by the hundreds of thousands of people of Florida's 25th Congressional District to have the privilege of taking the ceremonial oath of office at home, here in South Florida, right alongside my incredible husband, our friends, our constituent supporters, leaders in the community, people with whom I've fought side by side with for so many years. My heart is so full today. It really is. This is my 11th opportunity to share this special moment with the people who send me to represent them in our nation's capital. And I am profoundly thankful for your support. I really want to ask you to give another round of applause to the incredible Kelly Woodson. What a remarkable rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner. Kelly is also a leader in her own right. She can do far more than just sing, and I've watched her own ferocity and the tradition that she carries on after her, following in the footsteps of her incredible mom, who is fighting the good fight in Tallahassee for us today. I want to also thank the Fort Lauderdale Police for presenting the colors, and of course to Beth Bloom. Where did Beth go? Where? Oh, Beth, I don't really have words for the depth of my feeling for you and for your incredible family. We feel exactly the same way. There are some relationships that are just b'sheret, and our family's relationship is at the top of that list. Our kids have literally grown up running around various public sites together and found their own friendships separately and independent from their parents. Oftentimes, kids are thrown together and are friends simply because of their parents' relationships. And then, when they become adults, those relationships fade. Not our kids. Our kids' relationships have only strengthened, and it's been amazing to watch all of their individual success and their special relationships together as friends. And I just cannot thank you enough for your public service. I have watched your decisions from the bench and been so proud to be your friend and to have supported you when President Obama nominated you, and you have earned every minute of that support. So thank you so much. And thank you to Rabbi Brad Boxman, who is an incredible leader and teacher. Steve and I have a special connection to the synagogue because Steve did the loan on the synagogue many years ago and and made sure that it could be built and expanded. And so thank you for your friendship and your leadership and for really gracing us with that special prayer today. And Mayor Beam, you're amazing. Your tenure as a county commissioner, as a city commissioner, as a school resource media center leader, you have been remarkable, and I know you are serving your last term. I wish your tenure could continue because there's no one more humble, thoughtful, or caring than you, and who are fully in it for the right reasons and inspire confidence of the people of Broward County. So thank you. Finally, let me take one more moment of personal privilege to honor my amazing husband of 34 years, almost 34 years, February 16th, it'll be 34 years. I think most people know that I affectionately have nicknamed Steve Saint Steve. I would definitely not be standing here, nor would we have raised 3 incredible children who are now young adults, starting down the path of their own lives, without the love and support and encouragement and accountability that my normal, not very political husband has been able to instill in me over these many years. And I would also not be standing here today. I think some of you know that we lost my mom almost 4 years ago, and this is the second swearing in which she is not with us, and I miss her so much. And my dad just had surgery. He's doing fine, but he was struggling a little bit and wasn't able to join us today, but I know he's with us in spirit. My parents are the ones that raised me with the values that I'm able to reflect in my public service, and I'm so thankful. I know I speak for Jared and Sheila when I say that all the support from our families, friends, and the wonderful people of South Florida is what gives us the strength to fight the good fight for this community each and every day. And I do want to acknowledge that today is International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Now more than ever, we must never allow people to forget the atrocities that were committed during that horrific time. We have people who are suggesting, as recently as this week, that it's time to move on. No, it is never going to be time to move on from the worst mass murder of individuals that has ever taken place in the world. And we have to make sure that we continue to carry their memories in our hearts and that we engage in public activism to ensure that it never happens again. Consul General, thank you so much for being here. I want you to know that I remain committed, and I know my colleagues do as well, to helping to make sure that the ceasefire and hostage release agreement is carried out, and that all of the hostages are brought home, and that we stand up for the U.S.-Israel relationship and ensuring that we can reach at least some semblance of peace and harmony. As the incoming co-chair of the Abraham Accords Caucus in Congress, I'm looking forward to working on that particularly. I also want to congratulate my colleagues, Sheila and Jared, for their new leadership roles. I'm sure they'll go into it, but Jared has ascended to the Judiciary Committee. Finally, Florida gets a Judiciary Committee member back on that important and critical committee, especially now. And Sheila will be the subcommittee ranking member of the Middle East and North Africa Subcommittee of the Foreign Affairs Committee, a very important role, and leadership roles that both of them have ascended to very quickly, not surprisingly, because of what our colleagues think of them. Before we chart the road ahead, I do want to mention how proud I am to continue as a member of the House Democratic leadership. I will once again serve as a co-chair of the Steering and Policy Committee on the House side for the Democrats, and serve as a senior member of the Appropriations Committee, as the ranking member of the Military Construction and Veterans Affairs Appropriations Subcommittee. The shorthand for that is Cardinal, which I'm looking forward to continuing to make sure that I can bring home resources to our community and ensuring that we have a budget that reflects our values. We have a lot of work ahead of us, my friends. I want to take quick stock of all that Democrats have accomplished. After a week like last week, that seems important. President Biden created 17 million jobs, a record topped only by President Clinton's two full terms in office. Democrats also made the largest climate investments ever and the biggest infrastructure outlay in a generation. We vastly expanded veterans' health care, lowered prescription drug costs, and fortified our computer chip industry. And Democrats did all of that by slingshotting America out of the COVID ditch Trump left us in for his first term. Just like Obama did before, President Biden just handed Trump the strongest economy on the planet. Here at home, Democrats focused on the essentials. We steered record funding into the Everglades Restoration Project, and we fortified our international South Florida airports. We pumped millions of federal dollars into local projects, from buying police officer cameras to providing flood control aid and critical funding for clean energy, reef, and disease research. But a global pandemic staggered America's economy, and coupled with extremism and inaction in Tallahassee, many South Florida families are feeling a financial squeeze. We feel it at the checkout counter, the gas pump, or worse, when rent comes due or your home insurance bill arrives. It's too much. Families want and truly need some financial relief, and Democrats have a plan to do just that. We must stop price gougers, build more homes, bring down insurance rates, raise the minimum wage, and cut taxes for working Americans. The wealthy and corporations should pay their fair share. And Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and the Affordable Care Act should be strengthened and expanded, not be used as political collateral for tax relief for billionaires. That is how we can give families the breathing room that they need. Unfortunately, that doesn't appear to be where Republicans are headed. Huge tax cuts for the wealthy are the GOP's priority. Deporting legal immigrants, gutting health care for middle-class families, and blocking cancer and disease research helps no one. Handing tax breaks to billionaires doesn't make eggs and gas any cheaper. Putting unqualified, compromised fanatics in charge of our military and spy agencies doesn't make any of us any safer. Demonizing minorities, migrants, and our LGBTQ+ communities doesn't make home insurance cheaper. Letting the NRA rewrite gun laws won't keep students safe. Allowing Trump to gut FEMA and NOAA won't stop the next hurricane or the next building collapse, but will cause needless pain and suffering. Stealing our pre-existing condition health protections or backtracking on vital Medicare or drug negotiations won't fill anyone's wallet, except Big Pharma's. The Trump agenda is a cruel and callous one, with significant adverse consequences to families, especially children. And all his wayward policies will do nothing to lower inflation or improve economic or environmental conditions for America's middle-class families and our seniors. I'm optimistic, in the face of all his created chaos, that Democrats will push for middle-class tax cuts, higher wages, and more affordable housing. There is a very small margin between the majority and minority in the House. We will also fiercely defend Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and the Affordable Care Act, and we will block the radical far-right agenda that would make our families, seniors, and children less secure. Make no mistake, they will have to work with us in order to be able to move their agenda forward. And we will not give in to the daily Trump circus and chase absurd claims, disinformation, and lies. And we all have to make sure that we fight our own exhaustion. I know it's difficult. I know swiping down on your phone in the morning and looking at those notifications about the next extreme thing that he did in the middle of the night is frightening and frustrating and can impact people's mental health. But we have to stay in the fight. And if you're tired, if you're weary, know that I have your back. Know that I am girded by the support that you uplift me with. And know that we will focus on South Florida families and fight to make life safer and more affordable for all of you. As I have always done in Congress, that means I'll keep fighting for pool safety grants, strengthening the law I passed to prevent child drownings. I'll also ensure our children are safe from predators online by securing funds and modernizing children internet safety efforts in the Protect Our Children Act, and push for cancer survivorship legislation that ensures anyone who beats this deadly disease is not left alone in the financial and medical wilderness so they can thrive once again. Where I can, I will always work across the aisle, be it to combat global anti-Semitism online or by blocking oil money from propping up a brutal dictator like Maduro. As we take this oath today, that is all a part of what I pledge to work for you. I'm energized by what Democrats have accomplished, and I'm determined to make sure that we can maintain our progress, whether it's protecting union and civil rights, fighting higher drug costs, or restoring our stolen reproductive freedoms. But none of these fights will be easy, my friends. On every one of them, we need to hear from you and work with you so we can make a difference together. I can't tell you how humbled I am to have been chosen to work on behalf of and to fight for this community. It is an honor and a privilege that I do not take lightly. Thank you for allowing me to be your voice. Sharing this special occasion with the people who sent us to the Capitol to represent you means so much. And thank you to giving me the privilege of helping make South Florida families safer, stronger, and more financially secure. Thank you so much.
I know I speak for all of us. We are so lucky to have you up there. And thank you for having our back. From the local government perspective, we know we've gone to you many times, and you've always come through. Just thank you. With that, I'd like to have Representative Cherfilus-McCormick come up and give some remarks.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's always a pleasure to be home and to see all your faces. I feel like when I come home and I see everyone, it's always rejuvenating, and you remind me of what I'm doing in D.C., which is fighting like hell, I must say in front of my pastor, I'm sorry to say it, to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to actually live the American dream. Being elected this time, I think, was a little bit more emotional for my family and I and everyone in the community, especially because we saw all the attacks and the stereotypes that were talking about immigrants. There's a narrative that immigrants are somehow all illegal and somehow all have a underlying criminality to them, and that they're less than and that they're not hardworking. But I stand here as a daughter of immigrants who came from Haiti, fleeing a dictator, who worked very hard, who went to law school, went to undergrad. My parents taught me two things. They said, you need to get the highest education you can, give more than you have, and make sure that you see everyone and make sure that they have a voice. And it was those things and the love of the community here that shaped me, that allowed me to get here. So this time in this election, I said that this is not just for me, but for every first-generation American who's here today. For every first-generation American who has been saying for the longest that we've come to the United States to serve and to give our best and our brightest. So I thank the community that raised me, that loved me, that believed in me, that trusted me, who elected me to be here today. Thank you. I also want to say a great thank you to all of my elected officials. Thank you so much, Joaquin, for coming all the way from Belgrade, for being here. Thank you to all the elected officials who I harassed tirelessly. Thank you for the county commission. And I say that I harass them tirelessly because I'm always asking, what's your priorities? What could we do? How can we work together and make sure that we're making everyone's life better? When we talk about what the community is looking for, everyone's looking to pursue and to actually attain the American dream. And as we're in DC, it is everyone who is working here tirelessly, day after day, who tells us what we need. And so I thank them for harassing me also in DC and saying, hey, we need this, we need that, we need the money, we need you here. So thank you for all of your effort. I want to say a big thank you also to my family for just standing by me, for being here. For those of you who don't know, my father, who's sitting in the front, he's been struggling with multiple myeloma for 8 years now. And he doesn't go out because he doesn't want to be exposed, but this was an important time for him. So thank you for being here, and for my mother who's been here also, thank you so much. Thank you to my children, and thank you to my husband who's been with me this whole journey through the ups and downs. He's just been remarkable all the time. So thank you so much. When I'm at home and I'm like, Corley, this is so difficult, he's like, you can get back up, you can do this, we're built for it. So thank you so much. And I also want to say a thank you to Dana Barclay. Now, Dana Barclay, she was up here when I was getting sworn in. She is not my daughter. My daughter is actually older than that, but she stood with me because I made her a promise. Dana Barclay has been working extremely hard in school. She had tutorers. Sometimes she thought she couldn't make it in school. She had her IEP, and she worked extremely hard. And she said, you know what? I'm going to be the class president. And I said, Dana, if you can make it and be the class president, like I know you can, and you can study and keep your grades up, because you have to have grades to be the class president, I will let you stand next to me and be sworn in. And today, Dana, stand up, Dana. Stand up, Dana. Today, Dana is the class president. And so I wanted to talk a little bit, I have to thank my staff because they work tirelessly, so thank you to my staff. But as we go forward, we already know what's ahead of us. It's a tough, tough time, but we're tough, tough people. After the election, I've been going around the country talking to different people, and people seem to have lost their fight and their resiliency. And the one thing I remind them all the time is, we have never been handed anything a day in our life. What would make this time different from then? When did we have the expectation that we would not have to live up to this moment and fight for right? What would make us think that we wouldn't have to get up every single day and not do our generational work to make sure that we're actually achieving a more perfect union? That expectation for us has to actually leave, and we have to step up to this moment. This is a moment where we have to be unwavering and make sure we define our country once again for who we are. We're a country that actually loves our tapestry. Many people don't realize that Florida's 20th district, that we actually have the largest sugar farms in the entire country. When we have our bus go all the way out and do our mobile offices in the Glades, they're asking me for the same things as when I go into the suburbs. When I go into the urban communities, they're asking me for the same things as we have in the suburbs and even in the Glades. And what they want is dignity and respect, an opportunity for the American dream, health care. They want to be seen by the government who they are not afraid to work hard for. Every year we have so many people who believe in our government, who go out to vote. And what they're looking for is a return on their investments. What our veterans are looking for is a return on their investment. And so we must be diligent in ensuring that we live up to this moment. And what that means is that every single veteran must have housing. We can't walk around and see this population everywhere, not getting the stuff they need, not getting the housing, not getting the health care, and think that someone else is going to do it. Congress must do it. We can't sit by and watch even our youngest and our brightest who are having to leave the communities they were raised in because there are no opportunities in South Florida. We must work even harder to have opportunities for our young people so they can stay here with their families instead of being forced to leave to go to New York and LA for jobs. We must continue to be resolute and ensure that no one feels scared or threatened. We're hearing more and more stories about these raids and how Americans are being taken. We're hearing that some people are being taken to be deported to Puerto Rico. The last time I checked, Puerto Rico was part of the United States. Who is actually doing the raiding? We can't live in a country where just because you have an accent, you're afraid that someone's going to pick you up and deport you. This is not the United States. This is not the great country that leads the entire world. When I travel this entire world and I talk to different leaders, they talk about the might of the United States. And for us to truly understand the might, we have to understand that we can give and take care of our youngest, our poorest, and also make sure that our richest have a place in this country and pay their fair share. That we can also make sure that every single person is seen and has the opportunity to succeed. One of the biggest and most traumatic effects, I think, that we've had with these executive orders has been diversity, equity, and inclusion. There's a fallacy when you hear about diversity, equity, and inclusion, that somehow diversity, equity, and inclusion is not merit-based. I say it's a fallacy because it is not true. I could tell you as a black woman who's been living in the United States and working hard, I've had to work much harder than some of my counterparts. I've had to get the highest education than some of my counterparts. And I sit next to them, and I'm getting paid less than my counterparts. And so I say, well, if you don't like diversity, equity, and inclusion, well, then what is that merit-based policy? Because I guarantee you, if you give me those variables, we can live up to it. Why strip away and have so many families now who cannot go to work because they're on administrative leave? As I've been visiting different communities, I've had parents come up to me and tell me that their Fulbright scholarship that was offered to their child was taken away. It was taken away and said, don't even call back. And the reason why, no reason why it was taken away, but there's a common thread that I'm seeing through all these students who are having their scholarships taken away. They are black. The assumption then is somehow they don't deserve it. It was given to them. That sounds like racism to me. When I looked at, they told me their grades and how they perform and where they stand. Why was it taken away? I wish I had a good answer. But the truth is because some people believe that if we just strip away diversity, equity, and inclusion, somehow that makes the United States somehow merit-based. Well, our history tells us that that is not true. If we were merit-based, why is it that more women didn't have opportunity to go to school and get an education? If we were merit-based, why is it that minorities couldn't get an education? When we look back at it, to be quite honest with you, only people who are 60 years old, black people in the United States who are 60 years old, have actually lived the full extent of being equal. 60. That means everyone over 60 has not lived the full extent of being equal. And so what do we say to this? Do we turn a blind eye to our past? If we're going to move into our future, let's live up to our responsibility. And that is to make policies that reflect everyone and to make sure we all have an opportunity to pursue the American dream. And so I don't want to bog everybody down, because as I go through the community and I understand what's at stake, there's one thing that I consistently want everyone to remember. We're all in this together. As I go into the 119th Congress as the ranking member for the Middle East and Northern Africa, the one thing that I'm dedicated to more than ever is to make sure that our alliances and our coalitions are strong. Every single hostage must be returned. This is not just a Jewish fight. This is not just a fight for Israelis. This is an American fight also. This is a fight for the African Americans, for Black people, for Haitian people, for Caribbean people. This is a fight for all of our integrity. There should be no one who should be ashamed of being in their home or scared of being in their home if someone's going to take it over. We all have to be active in it, because at the end of the day, today it may be Israel, but I promise you tomorrow will be Venezuela. The next day will be the Haitian community. Then it will be the Jamaican community. And hold on, women, they're coming for us also. So if you think it has nothing to do with you, I want you to wake up today and smell the coffee, because it is real in the field. And not only do we have to fight in DC, but I need all of you fighting with me. I need everyone standing hand in hand to say that this is not the country that we bought into. And so my last point before I leave, and I know I was supposed to stick to my goals and what we've been doing and all the money we brought in, but my heart was heavy. My heart was heavy because I acknowledged that, all of us who are here, we're here for a purpose. When I initially ran, everybody said, why did you run for Congress? You weren't even into it. I said I was called to this, not knowing what was going to be in front of me. But every single morning when I wake up, I always say that the opportunity to serve this country at this time is truly a destiny moment. And every single day that we wake up and we acknowledge that, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, puts me here to tell everyone the truth of what we're here to do, remind us who we are in this country, that we are supposed to be the light, not just to the United States, but the entire world, and we have something higher to live up to. We must remember the work that our parents have done before us, the people who went before us. Even my predecessor, Alcee Hastings, what would he say if he was sitting here to view what was going on? These executive orders that were happening every single day. It seems like chaos. Every single hour I'm getting a new pinging going on. All our forefathers who fought to make sure that we were equal, what would they say? I have a strong feeling they wouldn't be saying much. I think they would be getting up and fighting. We would be standing together and fighting. And so that's what the call of the moment is. The call of the moment is for us to band together and fight back. But we fight back how we know how to fight back. We fight back with community. We fight back with prayer. We fight back with our intelligence. We fight back with our integrity. And we fight back by showing up. Even when you're not invited, show up. Even when they tell you you don't belong here, show up. Because when you show up, not only do they have to face you and all the things they've said about you, and all the plots and schemes that they set about you and set for you, just know when you show up that the God who sent you will be always ahead of you. And he's already orchestrated the place that you're showing up. Show them the truth about who we are as Americans, that we're not scared of immigrants, that there may be a handful who might be doing crime. Go ahead and deport them. There might be some people who have been here illegally. What about a legal pathway? Let's actually do what we can here and be the best of the entire world and show them how to do it. But let's not imitate the worst of this entire world and cast people out and act like they're not human beings. And so as we go into the 119th Congress, I stay committed to making sure that our district has every economic opportunity that it needs. We've been talking to many nations, even Saudi Arabia, and seeing if we can anchor some businesses in Saudi Arabia to do more work so we can have our small businesses and our large businesses have opportunities. We've been looking to see how we can bring some more computer programming into the district so we can have more people working in the district, especially our kids. But the one thing I tell you I've been fighting for to make sure that we're funding is job skills training. If we cannot train our population, we cannot get them good paying jobs. So I will continue to fight for those job skills trainings. And lastly, the one thing I can promise you that all of my colleagues will promise you as they sit here is that we will make sure that no one will touch Social Security and Medicaid. And thank you so much to my colleagues. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, you know, she's an awesome person. She's been fighting like hell. It's always interesting to watch her because she's like a little bunny rabbit just running around everywhere. And thank you so much to Jared. Jared's hilarious. I'm sure you've seen him. But even in his humor, he has so many facts and points there. You know, I think that I'm blessed to be joined by you guys. I'm also blessed to be joined by our Palm Beach. We don't have them here, but Lois Frankel, she's excellent. And thank you to this community once again. I look forward to serving this community with everything that I have, my heart, my brain, my passion. Every day we wake up, just know that we're fighting for you. And as we sit here and look at you all in the eye, I know what this is about. This is about making sure you live a better life and everyone excels. Thank you so much.
I think I say for all of us, we're so glad you're there, because I do think it's important for your voice to be heard. This time needs you there. And I know you'll show up, and your spirit is wonderful. Nice to hear it. So thank you. With that, it's our chance to hear Representative Moskowitz.
All right, good morning. Sheila can't tell people I'm hilarious before I go up. All right, so good morning. I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank Mayor Furr for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here. This was a Burdines, right? This was Burdines, right? Was this like the center of Burdines? Where were the escalators? They're in the same place. They're in the same place. Still looks like a Burdines. So I want to thank Rabbi Boxman for the invocation, and I want to thank my wife for doing this swearing in. When my staff was like, you need a judge to swear you in, I'm like, well, the person who judges me most is my wife. And I can tell you, I lose most of those. I mean, the rulings are not in my favor. But I want to thank her for raising our kids. I mean, I visit them from time to time, but she really has allowed me to do this for the last 20 years. I've been doing this now for 20 years. I've either been in elected or appointed office. I'm entering my 20th year this year, which is pretty crazy. Just like Debbie, I remember getting elected at 25, right? 25, and been doing it for a long time. My wife said that I told her when I was 17 that I wanted to be in Congress, which was true. You know, and when I was 17, I wanted to be in the Congress of, you know, Elijah Cummings and John Lewis and Ted Kennedy, and instead I got to be in the Congress of Marjorie Taylor Greene and Ted Cruz. So it's not exactly as I thought it would be. And by the way, if Alcee Hastings was still alive, what he would say, and I will quote him because Lord knows I did a couple town halls with him, and every time I would get up, like I would have like my notes. I'm like, oh, what? Because I was a state rep, and I would be like, this is such an honor. I get to be with Alcee Hastings. He's giving his congressional report. I'm like, I'm going to give my Tallahassee report. I got all these notes, and Alcee would just come to the microphone. He'd be like, this is some bullshit. And I would just be like, okay, I have to go after that. And so that's what I think Alcee would say. I want to thank my family for being here and my friends and all the elected officials that came out. I want to thank my staff for being here. You know, my dad, who's not here, you know, he really got me into politics, inspired me to do all of this by opening my eyes to public service. And, you know, while I think he would love what I'm doing in Congress, he would definitely hate that I'm doing it in sneakers, for sure. I want to thank my colleagues, both Debbie and Sheila. It's a pleasure to serve with you, and Lois from Palm Beach. I just realized I'm the one guy. I'm all by myself. So, but you guys are such inspirations, especially Debbie, obviously being there for a long period of time helps new members like myself get acclimated, let me know like when I'm like straying too far. Yeah, never. You Public office and being an elected official has changed since I started when I was 25. I mean, it really has changed dramatically in the last 20 years. And, I represent the 23rd district, which was Michael Jordan's number, hence the Jordans. But it's really a shame of where we are politically. What we're seeing in Congress now does not represent how America works, how businesses work, how families work. It's just not a representation. And if we look at the 118th Congress, which I'll get to a second, as we enter the 119th Congress, where are we headed as a legislative body? This is the world's most deliberative body, the House and the Senate. Where are we headed? And so, my political career is different than many, right? I got elected young, I did a lot of local office, and then I left elected office, went to appointed office. Someone from a different political party did that job, and then came back into partisan politics. And I will tell you that we have to build relationships across the aisle. Because if you think of where things were 20 years ago, where are things going to be 20 years from now, if this is the trajectory we are headed on? We got to find ways to find common ground. We got to find ways to use common sense. We have to find ways to have bipartisan solutions. As a graduate of Marjory Stoneman Douglas, proud to call Parkland home. Obviously, I'll never stop fighting for common sense solutions to end gun violence in our schools and in our communities, in our churches, in our synagogues, or at a grocery store, or at a park, or randomly just a stray bullet in a neighborhood. No parent should be scared. No parent should be scared to send their kids to school or just to go outside to play basketball. As a former emergency management director for our state, I'll never stop fighting to improve disaster preparedness and to ensure FEMA's viability, which seems to be all of the rage these days. Again, talking about what I did in the 118th Congress as I go into the 119th Congress, I look at the 119th Congress, the 118th Congress for a second, and I say to myself, what did we accomplish in the 118th Congress, right? First of all, we were the least productive Congress in modern history. Least productive. This is a legislative body. I know I go on TV and I do podcasts and things, but we're not supposed to be like little PR agencies. We're not supposed to be, little comms departments. We're supposed to be legislating. Look, I was proud that I put my name on almost 500 pieces of legislation. 75 of those passed one of the chambers, and 8 of them were signed into law by the president. And that's because that's what we're supposed to be doing. And remember, the 3 of us were in the minority in the 118th. We're going to be in the minority again for the 119th. So if we want to pass stuff, we're going to have to figure out how to do that with our colleagues. And I think we can work with our colleagues where we can, and we'll fight them where we must. And just because you work with someone on a bipartisan basis doesn't mean you give up your principles. You try to make a deal, and if you can't make a deal, if you can't make a deal, then you go our separate ways and you fight them. And I think I did that in the 118th Congress. I think if you watched me in committee, I called out their nonsense when they were trying to impeach Joe Biden without any evidence. And at the same time, the same day, I would go and I would work on bipartisan legislation. I think that's what the American people expect us to do. I mean, look what my colleagues did in the 118th Congress. They impeached a speaker. They removed the speaker, right? That had never happened in American history. Then they almost removed a second speaker in Mike Johnson. The only reason they didn't remove that second speaker was because of the Democrats. It was the Democrats who said, this is ridiculous. Okay, like we can go along for a second if you're removing one of your own speakers, but 2? And so we had to stop them. We tabled that motion. Otherwise, there would have been 2 speakers. What kind of message does that send to the rest of the world that we just can't function as a body? But they weren't done there. They then impeached a cabinet secretary. That hadn't happened in 150 years, right? As Debbie said, that didn't lower the price of eggs or the price of home ownership or increase the minimum wage. No, and then they censured multiple people. They did remove their own member. That hadn't happened in 20 years in George Santos. I miss him like a little. just like a little bit. But they removed their own member in George Santos, right? I mean, those were their accomplishments. Their accomplishments, oh wait, I forgot, they held multiple hearings on gas stoves. I don't know if you know this, but gas stoves are under attack. So when you go home, give your gas stove a hug if you have one, because at any moment, someone may knock on your door and take your gas stove. By the way, they weren't done with gas stoves. They went to ceiling fans. They had a hearing on ceiling fans and blenders. It was like appliance week. Okay. But you know what? It's funny, but you know how many hearings they held on gun violence? Zero. But they did a whole week on appliances. And so the 118th Congress, I mean, they really have nothing to show for it. And so, I think about the 119th Congress, what are we going to do? And I'm trying to do stuff differently. I'm trying to figure out where I can find the middle, right? I joined the Doge caucus, which I thought was the dog caucus, but it's not. So I joined the Doge caucus, and people are like, why would you join the Doge caucus? This is the caucus that is, going to go after government. And I give you a couple reasons why. First of all, Democrats are constantly getting stuck fighting for the status quo. It's a trap that Republicans set for us, right? And I can tell you, Americans don't look at government and are like, it's perfect, don't change anything, right? They always think government can be improved. They always think government can spend less money. That's what Americans think, because that's what businesses think, and that's what families are thinking, right? And so I joined the caucus. I also thought to myself, well, if I want to protect Social Security and I want to protect Medicare and they're going to go after it in this caucus, then I got to be in the room. And so that's why I joined. And so I'm going to go to where these conversations are happening, even if conversations that I don't like can't stay in safe spaces. You can't stay in safe spaces. We're being out communicated because we don't want to go into places where there are tough conversations. And so I'm going to continue to do that in the 119th Congress. As far as what we were able to do for the district, we were able to secure $10 million of investments through the appropriations process. Last Congress, my staff, many of them are here, did an excellent job recovering $5 million for our constituents and casework. Over 4,000 cases of getting people their Social Security or veterans benefits or their Medicare, or helping them with passports. So I want to thank my staff for that. And so Debbie said it, and Sheila said it too, that as far as being on the Foreign Affairs Committee, I served there with Sheila. Obviously we talk a lot about domestic issues, but the world is a mess. It is a very troubling time to serve in Congress when you're looking at the world view. And it's important to be on the Foreign Affairs Committee, which is one of the very few bipartisan committees left. And so whether it's talking about Israel on October 7th, and as my colleague said, we have to make sure that we get the remaining of the hostages home. It's critical that we do that. And I want to thank President Biden for laying that deal out, and thank President Trump for going ahead and executing on that deal. And then we got to figure out what the future of the Middle East is going to look like. Israel needs to make partnerships, maybe with Saudi Arabia, maybe they're getting them into the Abraham Accords to help stabilize that region. You look at the Ukraine-Russia war, you don't read about it as much. Over 1 million people have died in that war. Over 1 million people have died in the Ukraine-Russia war. And they don't publish those numbers because obviously Putin doesn't want his people to know how many Russians have died fighting that war. So we got to figure out how we get that war to an end. The way we get that war to an end is not by abandoning NATO. So I don't have a problem with getting our nations in NATO and our allies to pay more into NATO. I don't have a problem with that. We spend a ton of money on defense. But this idea that we should abandon NATO, it was a bad idea when it was proposed in the first term, and it's a bad idea now. That is what helps keep that area of the world stable. Then you got to look at China. China is looking at everything that is going on, and they don't think in years or 5 years or decades. They think about the next 100 years, the next 1,000 years. And they're looking at what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, and they're thinking to themselves, well, whatever happens there, we can look at Taiwan. And so, when you think about China, you also think about the next age. You got to think about AI and how that's going to impact our society, how that's going to affect young people. What jobs will no longer be there for young people as AI changes the world, and how we're going to teach our kids this to compete with other nations like China. I'm also now on the Judiciary Committee, and so I'm looking forward to dealing with Jim Jordan. I've traded off James Comer for Jim Jordan. So if you've ever watched Jim Jordan, he does those hearings without a jacket, and so I will too. We won't wear jackets. It's totally fine. Maybe it's warm in the room. I don't know. But listen, I'll give my colleagues the benefit of the doubt. We're just starting. Let's see what they have. Let's see what they want to do. Let's see if they're serious about trying to get something done, or if they just want to give giant tax cuts off the back of working Americans. Let's see. And so, they have 2 years to prove us right or prove us wrong. But I can tell you this. I think in the first term of the Trump administration, Democrats got it wrong. We were constantly outraged. We fell into all the traps of all of the chaos and trying to respond to everything. And I think this time around, it can't be constant outrage. It has to be selective resistance. Whereas we're going to have to pick our spots, but we can't be no on everything. I can tell you, if we vote no on everything, if we're just the no party, I think the American people are going to continue to look at us and give us the same result. And here's what I mean by that. If you look at the last 2 elections, okay, I mean, the American people have looked at Donald Trump, and they've looked at what we proposed, and they said, yeah, we're going to go with him. Okay, and so that is a reflection on 2 things. It's a reflection on where the American people are at the moment, and it's a reflection on what we are selling. Because we're just 2 corner stores. The Democrats are a corner store, and the Republicans are a corner store. And at the end of the day, right, the products you're selling, but it's also about your salesmanship. Okay, and they are way better at selling their products, whether we like their products or not. They are way better at selling their products than we are. And so I can assure you that I will continue to do the type of communication that I'm doing in Congress, because I think it's important. And so as I get into the 119th Congress, I want to thank all the voters who have sent me now back to Washington after the 118th Congress. It's really an opportunity of a lifetime to be there. We joke and we kid around because it helps you get through the day, but it is a very serious job. And it does require serious people to try to figure out how to make that place work. And Congress's approval rating is, I think, at 28%. And so we got to figure out together how to move the country forward, how to work together. And it's been an honor of a lifetime to be there and serve there. And I will continue to do so over the next 2 years. So thank you very much. Come on, Mayor.
I think we all appreciate that fresh perspective. I look forward to your Twitter, just seeing what's going to come up. What is it going to be this time? But it's always something it's just a different look, and it's I think for all of us it kind of allows us in. But I think you're right in finding ways to reach across the aisle are going to be necessary, but also our salesmanship. I think you're right on that. With that, we're going to have Pastor Joel Tudman to come up for the benediction.
Can we stand together? Dear God, we thank you for today, for these 3 representatives who are brilliant, who have courage, resilient. We thank you for them, that as they represent South Florida as they walk into the wars and yet still seek peace, that you give them a peace that surpasseth all understanding, and to represent your people. We thank you for South Florida. We thank you for every constituent that is in this room. That, Father, as the world moves forward, that we continue to have bright minds to fight for the rights of the people. Be with us as we leave this place. Protect every family. And Father, as we live in tumultuous times, we give you praise and we give you honor. Amen.
With that, I don't think I have to tell everybody what is at stake over the next couple years. We are sending our best, and we are thankful that for you all being there, and we also want to thank your families for the service as well, because we know what that entails. We are lucky, and this as a community, as local government, that these representatives are going to represent us and do the good fight for us. And so join me in thanking them. And with that, there are refreshments in room 430, straight down the hall down there. Thank you all for coming.